Welcome to another episode of Exit Philosophy. He's Mal, I'm Griff, and just like to thank you again for subscribing, for listening to Exit Philosophy. We're recording on the off day, on the Blue Jays Thursday off day before heading to the Bronx.
Don't you hate off?
Yeah, yeah.
Do.
If you enjoy us on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts, don't forget to like, share with your friends, and leave us a review. With that being said, Mal, this is like not the most exciting time of the year in pro sports because there's no hockey, there's no basketball, but there's so much going on. I mean, we've got 18 of 30 major league teams at 500 or above and still consider themselves at least contenders for a wild card. We've got the NFL season opening this weekend. We've got U.S. Open tennis, U.S. college football. CFL has just passed the halfway mark, and it's been a pretty exciting season there. And the Leafs and Raptors are getting ready to strap it on, and Mitch Marner's protection unit has disappeared from his house, so it's all good.
Look, it's clear now.
Yeah, clear.
Yeah.
And before we get to the Jays situation, there's stuff that I'd like to talk about and get your opinion on in other areas of sport, plus baseball. We'll get to baseball, but the Kawhi Leonard odd situation, $28 million from Steve Ballmer that Pablo Torre says was in lieu of salary, so they're defeating the purpose of the salary cap. It's going to be a huge scandal, but do you think that that's the ultimate indictment of the salary cap? And do you think other teams do it?
You think they posted that job on LinkedIn?
I would take it. 28 million for not planting trees.
Nada, right? As you know, I despise salary caps. I think we've all been kind of brainwashed by these billionaire owners to think it's the only way these leagues can survive or have competitive balance, which is utter hogwash. Yeah, I think it's an indictment of the salary cap. Obviously, like anything, any rule, anything, when you're competing at the highest level, everybody's looking to get an edge on the competition. And while this should be punished tremendously, if I'm another owner and member of that league, obviously this goes well beyond what's considered, fair play. It's an indictment of salary caps. Why can't they pay, what they need to pay Kawhi to get him to get him on board? I think there's other ways to create competitive balance other than penalizing the labor all the time. So I'm a strong proponent of no salary caps in leagues, and I don't want to see one in baseball. And I think we're heading for Armageddon, to be honest with you, soon enough in baseball. But I think it's a strong indictment. I don't know. Maybe you don't feel the same. I'm not sure, but I think you know how I feel about suppressing labor. Not a fan.
Yeah. No, I think in the previous scandal that was similar years ago, the contract was dissolved and they lost 3 first-round picks, which is not a problem for the Clippers because they don't have any first-round picks for the next 3 years. But if it leads to Kawhi's contract being dissolved with the Clippers, and it's obvious that that's what that job was, $28 million for representing a tree planting company. And the deal is only in effect as long as he's with the Clippers. I mean, if that's not the ultimate, fine print in a contract, in an endorsement contract, then nothing is. Right. I mean, that's exhibit A in any court case. So, if he goes back on the open market, maybe the Raptors would have a chance if they gave him a job your cable needs repair, and here comes Kawhi, $28 million. Right, to Rogers Superstore.
Bloor Street.
Yeah, that is, and you've said it so often that's why I tossed that to you, is that the salary cap really doesn't work in pro sports, and it's not necessary. You look at the parity since 2000, since the Yankees dynasty of the mid to late 90s. Since they lost to the Arizona Diamondbacks in 2001, the Yankees, when they lost that World Series, there's been no dynasties anytime, anywhere. The Giants won 3 out of 5, but they weren't necessarily overspending during the 2010, 12, and 14 run that they had. But yeah, salary cap is
all it does is put more money in the owner's pocket. The idea that it promotes equity, within the leagues, I think it's been proven false, right? Even with leagues, the one thing you'll hear is, well, you need a salary floor. So the teams like the Pirates, et cetera,
yeah,
who don't spend, but that doesn't work either. Look at hockey; they have a salary floor, and then teams such as the Buffalo Sabres, my love, passion, they take on contracts of retired players years gone by just to reach the floor. They're not competing.
yeah.
There's ways around
And,
it. It's just a
and the
suppression of
danger,
salaries. That's all.
right? The
You know?
danger in hockey with the salary floor is that you have to overpay shitty players just to reach that floor. So a guy's making too much money for his ability, and it's only because there is that stipulation that you need to reach a certain
It's
salary.
just a safeguard for profit. It doesn't promote competition. What promotes competition is the Pirates trying to keep up with the Yankees. And there's ways you can do things with revenue sharing and other mechanisms to promote competitive balance, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know what
And
I mean?
when the Pohlad family was trying to sell the Twins and then withdrew it from the market, if they had a salary cap in Major League Baseball, they would have been able to sell that no problem, because you could say, here, we'll take this much money from you, and this is the maximum you're going to have to spend per year because of the salary cap. And
Yeah.
that makes it a better purchase, because you can compete because everybody's on that same salary cap level.
Yeah.
But they pulled back the Twins, which I think is good, and life goes on, and we'll have a new World
And
Series
isn't it
champion
just
this year.
the worst of things when all we discuss is how much money guys are making all the time?
Yeah.
Oh, can the Leafs fit in? How much can they pay Connor McDavid? Like that, it should be an open market for his services. And let the best man win, so to speak.
Yeah.
And
I've
it's just a
I've
bad thing for conversation.
I've always thought that leagues with salary caps, their top assistant general manager is just a guy who's memorized the rule book. He's
Yeah,
got no special skill.
yeah, yeah.
You can fit a guy.
Capologist,
Yeah,
capologist, so to speak.
capologist.
Yeah.
So another item here. Last night I was following the Blue Jays game. The Yankees lose to the Houston Astros after having a 4-2 lead. They went down 8-4 and they made it close 8-7.
Yeah.
But it was the inning where they went from tied or from ahead 4-3 to down 8-4 that I want to ask you about. Devin Williams was in. He's had a difficult time on a lot of occasions. He gave up a leadoff double to Correa, got an out, and then had 3 walks, loaded the bases, and then walked in the go-ahead run. And as he was leaving the mound, he got tossed by home plate umpire Brian Walsh. And then Aaron Boone got tossed by Brian Walsh, his 6th ejection of the season. And then the first base umpire jumped in, Adrian Johnson, and he was like gesturing at the Yankees dugout and didn't back off. Do you believe, and I watched the game, I watched the strike box, and the umpire did a good job. They were all balls. They were very close, but he called the game pretty well. Do you believe that
Except for the last
Aaron Boone, Devin, that sort of an incident could affect the Yankees even this weekend with the umpires against the Blue Jays?
I think without question the word's out already. Aaron Boone is the whiniest manager I've seen in a long time. And I'm not, God, every year, like you watch a Yankee game, he's bitching in the first inning. He's whining about the strike zone constantly. And I think it does impact you. Yeah, hey, man, we used to go in Yankee Stadium, Griff, you know this. Everybody felt, especially with Torrey years, Everybody felt the Yankees got all the calls, that umpires were intimidated going in there. They would get the benefit of the doubt. I kind of feel like if that was ever the case, and I'm not saying it was, that's kind of Boone has kind of ruined that because he's just a whiny little dude. Just it's nonstop with Boone and the Yankees. So I think it does. These guys are human beings, and Griff, I love it.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to go, well, there you go. They called the ball
Yeah.
in the last. We got screwed. Robot umpires. No, this is what the baseball's all about, man. Like he called it a ball. Tough shit. Deal with it. Move on. And are they impacted? Yeah. Yeah. It's
Yeah. I
human
mean,
beings.
as you point out, going to the Bronx used to be a huge intimidation factor. I remember John Gibbons for an entire series wouldn't let his team hit on the field
That's right.
because they played crappy music when the enemy was hitting, and they ran all the World Series highlights on the big screen with the voiceover of Mel Allen or whoever
Yeah.
booming through the ballpark as you're trying to warm up for the game. And that
It's
is a
so
part
awesome.
of Yankee mystique and intimidation. There's been accusations that they've got spy devices in the visitors clubhouse so they can pick up on coaches'
Well, same with the
conversations and stuff.
Jays too. Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
We don't worry
yeah,
about that.
no,
But you're right. You're right.
yeah,
It's Yankee lore, and they were damn good too. So that was always.
yeah, and they were good on top of that.
Yeah, I remember him canceling batting practice all the time.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, I just think that for a team that's usually confident and arrogant, the meltdown that they had at I was going to say Astrodome, but whatever the juice
Yeah,
field is,
yeah.
it is
Some
called now.
fruit.
That shows that they're not quite as confident as they used to be.
No, and you know what? Schneider used to bitch a lot about the strike zone, and he's really curtailed that. I've found. I
Yeah,
early on when he was manager, and I found he was very similar. That's a Pete Walker specialty. Pete's
yeah,
all Pete's on the umpires, but I've noticed, and perhaps that's the winning. They've really curtailed that approach with umpires, and Boone hasn't. Boone is just whining right out of the gate, man, and it's kind of like it drives me crazy watching him.
yeah. Winning replaces whining in many
Yeah, yeah,
cases.
yeah. That's right.
So another item before we get to the Blue Jays and their current situation, the night before when Framber Valdez
Wow.
was being gestured by his catcher Cesar Salazar to back off the mound with the bases loaded, and instead Valdez threw a fastball center cut grand slam the other way into the Crawford boxes, and then the very next pitch Valdez crosses up Salazar, and instead of throwing a breaking ball, hits him right in the chest with a fastball, and then turns without any sign that he's
Total
sorry for it.
disdain. Total
Yeah,
disdain. You're
like
kidding me.
that can't be good when your ace pitcher is treating your backup catcher that way. And
Oh
I'm
man.
surprised it didn't result in a fight, which would have
Well,
been quite unusual.
I'm really curious to see how that played out in the clubhouse. Um, I wonder how that was dealt with because that's such a Bush League move. You know what I mean? Man, I mean, welcome to the big leagues, kid.
Yeah, I mean that's your rotation ace. So
In a
everyone on the
playoff
pitching
race.
staff is supposed to be looking up to this guy. And he's got total disdain for another member of the team, hits him in the chest, mission accomplished, turns around. And to me, that's unfathomable that a team like that could be a World Series contender.
I'm really curious whose catcher is next time through the
Oh,
rotation.
yeah. No, it won't be Salazar.
Unless they they've had a big makeup session and
Yeah.
it'll be that's Bush League, man.
Well, we've all seen cross ups that, the cat, but nothing like that. We've seen less with the PitchCom era.
Well,
But
even more telling that it was done on purpose.
yeah, yeah.
PitchCom, it's hard to
Well,
cross a guy up.
the ones that stand out to me are when cross ups involve hitting an umpire. Like you're expecting a breaking ball and a guy throws a fastball chest high, and the catcher doesn't react and it hits the umpire.
Yeah.
Because I remember a specific one, and this wasn't even intentional, but Floyd Yeomans of the Expos was on the mound in
Floyd
1988.
Yeomans. Wow.
And he threw 98 when 98 was 98.
Yeah. And rare, uncommon.
Right. And so Jeff Reed, who was not a very good catcher, but he made up for that by not being a not very good hitter. So his consistency was remarkable.
Yeah.
Anyway, he was behind the plate and he fanned on 2 straight fastballs. I don't think he was crossed up. He just fanned on them. And they both hit Joe West in the chest.
Cowboy.
And Joe West behind the plate is a personality. You don't see it anymore.
No.
And between innings, before the next Expos half inning, he went in the umpire's room. And back in the day, American League umpires had these big balloon protectors.
Yes.
National League umpires wore the protector inside, as they do now in both leagues. And that made for the difference between the American League being a high strike zone and being in a low strike zone. So he comes out in a National League game, and Joe West has a big balloon protector. I thought that was the greatest reaction, and that's why I've always loved that. He not very good. In fact, shortly thereafter, like a month later, Jeff Reed was traded to the Cincinnati Reds. And my theory at the time, well, he couldn't last with the Expos, given that he was both a bad receiver and a bad hitter. But Marge Schott, who owned the Reds, and it was a remarkably terrible owner, she hated umpires.
Terrible person.
Yeah, she had the Nazi memorabilia in her front.
The racist.
And at parties. Yeah. You know? And so she traded for Jeff Reed, which leads me to a Marge Schott story that you'll enjoy. But a friend of mine in PR was going to Cincinnati to apply for a job, and he turned it down because Dick Wagner, who was the GM at the time, said, "I'll meet you at the airport and we'll go for breakfast." So he met him at the airport, and he went nearby the airport to a McDonald's. That was their corporate breakfast. And when Dick Wagner went to the counter, the 4 words that made him refuse the job, my friend refused the job, were, "The usual, Mr. Wagner."
Marge Schott. That was his.
That tells you all you need to know about the Cincinnati Reds and do you want to work there?
That's outstanding.
On to the next item, which is the Boston Red Sox.
Did they have to share a breakfast?
And your friend?
Yeah, that's right.
He'll have the same.
He'll have the same, please.
The Red Sox, we've dealt with the Yankees situation as they chase down, and they've narrowed the gap to the credit of both and to the discredit of the Jays, who have played 500 ball since July 26th. The Red Sox are chasing also. And Roman Anthony went down with an oblique injury. They just signed him to a multi-year deal, and he's been declared out for the season already with that oblique.
Kind of nuts, eh?
Yeah, and then you balance that with the performance of Aroldis Chapman, for whom you have great regard. Where do you think the Red Sox chase stands, losing Roman Anthony and with Aroldis Chapman having a remarkable streak at 37, 38 years old?
Yeah, I've always thought they were a year early on this little pursuit. But that being said, you never know. I mean, Aroldis Chapman hasn't given up a hit in his last 16 outings, Griff. Not a run, a hit. That's insane. Like I can't even process that. So I mean, crazier things have happened, but losing Anthony now, I mean, that's a death blow. But I mean, in Crochet, look at him. He gave up a bunch to who got to him the other night. Who were Cleveland? The game looked like it was well in hand, and then they put up a 5-spot on Crochet. That was like, whoa, what happened there? The runs have been aplenty in the American League East lately. I just felt they were always kind of a year early to the party. but I mean they're close enough that we'll see what happens. But I'm be surprised. As I've said over the weeks here, I've always felt like the Yankees are going to make a real push, and it kind of feels like they are. And hopefully the Jays can hold them off. But I always felt the Yankees were the competition here, and I'll still hold on to that opinion unless proven otherwise. And Aroldis is trying to prove you otherwise. Holy schmokies.
Yeah, I mean, the difference between the Yankees and the Red Sox is like the difference between Aroldis Chapman's streak and the four Yankee closers, none of whom have showed the ability to close. Three of them just acquired at the deadline. And that's been such a huge disappointment for the Yankees. The Blue Jays play each team three times in the Bronx this weekend and then later on against the Red Sox. So hopefully for them, by that time, Aroldis is at least allowed a hit. But that's a case where,
Well, David Schneider's coming to town, so
yeah, if Chapman is
Boston
still that
Magic.
hot,
Yeah,
and the Blue Jays bullpen really has been shaky, as we'll discuss in a minute, that could be interesting. But the Jays have I think it's 3.5 game lead as we speak on
right,
both teams.
right.
And the Yankees and Astros are playing tonight. And that's the thing. The Yankees and Astros both will address what the Jays need to do to, number one, assure themselves a playoff spot, and number two, be one of the top two records.
More importantly, yeah,
as a division winner, so they can skip that first round, that dreaded first round. So the other issue before we get into the Jays is the fact that on Thursday, with 24 days left in the season, there's no team on pace for 100 wins. Usually you have a couple teams win 100 and then they go into playoffs. And if they lose, you go, oh, they were favored. They were the favorites. They had 102 regular season wins, but now they're out. The Jays are on pace for 93.7, and they've got the lead in the American League. 93.7 wins is the best. I mean, obviously the Tigers are close to that. The Brewers in the National League, 99.5. The Dodgers, 90.9. And remember, early in the season, everyone was talking about, can the Dodgers win 100? Can they break the Seattle Mariners record of 114 or whatever it is? Yeah. But that ain't happening. So what does that tell you, that there's not going to be likely not going to be 100-win team in baseball this year?
Yeah, it's a surprise. I mean, but this is all by design. Again, we're back to a salary cap conversation too, a little bit. Like, you know, the revenue penalties or the salary penalties do kind of curtail a little bit of the spending, but it is a shock. I mean, the Dodgers are the big mystery. I'm not really sure how they're not better. Obviously maybe they're not real concerned about it because they know they're going to the playoffs anyways, but that's the big mystery. But it just tells you a lot of mediocrity within baseball right now. Everybody's kind of happy to be one of the teams in the middle because it's a bit of a crapshoot when you get to the playoffs. So I'm not sure by design if it's really necessary to try and build a powerhouse. The only one that did is the Dodgers, and they're not for some reason. But the playoff system is designed to promote kind of mediocrity and suppress some salary as well. Because why would you go out if you're, other than a couple of the big boys, the Mets, the Dodgers, and spend all that money when you get to the playoffs and it's a crapshoot. It's, 3 out of 5, 4 out of 7s, anybody can win those, and so many teams get in. It kind of curtails you making a good splash to be a great team. A good team is plenty good enough.
Well, you know what I would like to see happen in the World Series, and we both know that Major League Baseball is such a copycat sport where if something works and that's how the bullpens got to be such a factor in the postseason. We talk about 2010 with the Giants, right. 2012, 2014, 2015 with the Royals. All those teams all of a sudden relying on 4+ innings out of their bullpen every night.
Yeah.
So what I would love to see happen in 2025 is the team that wins the World Series in the actual World Series has starting pitchers that average 6 1/3, 6 2/3, 7 innings, average 7 innings per start. And all of a sudden, the copycat world is going to go, oh, we need great top four in our rotation so we can be like Team X that wins the World Series. That's what I want to see. Otherwise, you're just going to see pitching matchups in the postseason that don't matter. Used to be, Gibson against Denny McLain. I want to see that. But
at some point too, don't you have to ask yourself, say you're the Blue Jays and it's the 7th inning, do you want Kevin Gausman getting this guy, or do you want Brendan Little coming in and facing this guy? At some point, that scales tip. Even though it's the 3rd time through, you're going, I think I'd rather have Kevin Gausman facing this guy. Like, I'm hoping, I agree with you. There comes a point where you're like, maybe that's not the matchup we want.
Yeah. Well, it happened a couple of times with our Ironbacks this summer where we had guys warming up in the bullpen and a guy on fumes on the mound. And I would say to Mike Nightingale, he would say, if he's ready, I would go, well, that's good, but is he better than this guy on fumes right now? And the guy on fumes was an actual better choice at that moment. And that's exactly what you're talking about, but we're talking about it on a lesser scale.
More extreme.
By the way, Bob Elliott just sent out a ballot, which he does every year, for his all-Canadian NCAA team.
Yes.
And it's got a ballot and it's listed all the players, and we've got 3 or 4 Ironbacks on that.
As we should.
I'm going to vote for them. We got Alex Keane. We got Andrew Bishop at first base, and we got Matt Evans in the outfield. Yeah. So I'm gonna vote definitely and put our guys on there.
Well, they're legit players, man.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Except Alex Keane's listed at first base at Moorhead State, and we played him in right field every game, and he was a good outfielder.
I mean, that was a mistake.
Right. Another one of my mistakes. Okay, let's finally get around to the Blue Jays.
In fact, I don't even think you played Bishop at first base enough.
Yeah, I played him at second base.
That's right.
Cover more ground.
That's right.
The Blue Jays, where they stand. The Red Series. Yeah, they win 2 out of 3.
I'm going to tell you, they're lucky.
Warning. They gave up 23 runs in 3 games and couldn't hold a lead.
And if it wasn't for Nick Lodolo illness, they'd have lost that series. They weren't scoring those runs off him. They got a break there. That was a huge break they got.
Yeah. But, you had Barrios.
Yeah.
I wrote Baroa down, or my spell check changed it.
That's what happened.
Barrios, 2-inning start, and granted, IKF made a blunder at third base that would have been the 3rd out of an inning. But you're expected to get the next guy if you're a quality major league starter. And Barrios didn't do that. And 2 innings, he made the bullpen throw 7. And they won the game.
Yeah.
And then the next night, our man Shane Bieber gives up a 5-run 2nd inning.
That was something, eh?
And he hangs in, and the team wins again, despite a subpar starting performance. And maybe it was just a subpar inning. But John Schneider said it may be the best 5-run start he's ever seen. What do you think about that?
Wow. I guess he wasn't around in, what would it have been, 2013. I remember Mark Burley going into Tampa, giving up a 7 spot early in the game, and then just doing Mark Burley things and tossing 6 innings. And we came back and put up, I think, 2 in the 8th, or 1 in the 8th, 2 in the 9th, and 1 8-7. It wasn't one of the most impressive things. So Mr. Schneider might be a little mistaken on that, but point taken. I'm sure he feels it was impressive. That's what great pitchers do, though. They don't allow it to get to them, and they just put it. That's the old Roy Halladay, right? Next pitch. That was one of the most impressive things I ever saw with Burley, and equally impressive with Bieber, obviously. That was awesome. So you just go out there and keep your team in it, and look what happened.
Yeah, the 23. I mean, they say that Great America Ballpark is a bandbox, and I've been there. It's easy. It's one of the easier parks because the alleys in center field aren't as deep as in other parks. But giving up 23 runs to the Reds in that ballpark in 3 games. Now they go into the Bronx. Is that a warning sign going in? Because that's an easy ballpark to
How
score runs.
long have we been talking, Griff, about the deadline? And I at least feel I've been very consistent in saying they didn't do enough in the bullpen. And I loved the Bieber move. That was the home run swing you needed. Tip my hat. But right out of the chute, I thought they came up short in the bullpen going after two B arms. That I like them, but they missed out. Now that being said, the A arms probably landed in New York, and that's not going so well either. But um,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. I mean, yeah. There's still time, but I
yeah,
agree with you. We're going to go over the bullpen man by man a little later, the next segment that we're going to do here. But what about the additions of IKF, Kiner Falefa, good guy in the clubhouse, makes a key error in the Barrios start. Then Ty France, who seems to have rediscovered his swing, his offense, but he makes an error in the field. Do you think their defense seems to be making miscues almost nightly that result in bad situations for the pitching staff?
and hey, man, IKF's a good defender. So surprise, surprise. But hey, this is September now, right? I mean, guys, tighten up a little bit. The game's played by human beings, as we've said. So I mean, Ty France is Ty France, so you're getting what you get there. But yeah, they've seemed to have shown a little bit of you know, I don't know if it's tightness, but certainly the games mean more. Every play means more, and they are making some mistakes defensively. So we'll see if that holds up, and that's why they got IKF too, right?
Yeah.
A veteran guy, good defender, you know, just a good presence. I mean, I'm sure that's not sitting well with young Joey Loperfido, but it is what it is. You're trying to win at this time of year,
Yeah, I
and
mean, Joey Loperfido got his chance because there was an injury, and when the injured
yes,
player came back, he went back to the minors, even though he had a 389 average and in a small sample
and
size.
he's
But he'll
hitting a
get his
buck
chance. I
nothing
mean,
down there.
yeah,
Since
yeah.
he's been back, he's been terrible.
Well, you find out about players and their character, and not to say that Joey Loperfido is sulking, but you
No,
find out a lot about a player that gets sent back and performs at a higher level, as opposed to those who get sent back and fall off a cliff.
yeah, I don't mind the pickup of IKF. I think it was a surprise, but I think he's a good addition to the clubhouse.
Yeah, and the fact of being able to add one player, position player in September, probably predicate that move. Plus, you do it before September 1st, and you can use him in the postseason if you want to.
Now, Dylan Tate, on the other hand, I mean, I know that's not really the guy they wanted to bring up per se,
Yeah,
but
well, they've got all these guys on 15-day
yeah,
minimum.
yeah, the cab's running. The cab is running, dude.
Yeah. Um,
Get in.
Speaking of pressure of the playoff race and how it affects defense, how about that performance by Brendan Little the other day? He stumbles over a ground ball to the right of the mound. Uh, then he looks to third, looks to second, and is too late to first. And
That
then
guy
he
looks like
feels
he's
a
just
rocket back to the mound and then underhand lobs it to the plate. I think they probably, if he had fired it right away, would have had a chance for a double play at first base. But
he's feeling it right now. You could just look in his eyes and he's just like, I mean, he's seeing ghosts out there. I mean, I feel for the guy. It just, it's not going well for Brendan Little at the moment. And hopefully that turns around. They need him. They're going to need him, but he's certainly working his way to the back end of that bullpen real quick.
yeah,
He's just,
but not behind Ryan Barucki.
no,
Yeah.
geez, that didn't look so good either.
I mean, we'll discuss the bullpen in a minute. So we'll go where Eric Lauer fits in and if Mason Fluharty fits in at all. But Barucki showed that he's not the answer. I mean, he's not even near the strike zone against a left-hander that he was brought in specifically to retire, and he didn't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so time marches on. But here's two observations about the Blue Jays defense that I think are warning signs. I believe, and the numbers show it, they don't turn enough double plays in the infield compared to other teams. Like the Jays are hitting into double plays all the time to kill innings and whatever. And the other thing is they're no longer throwing base stealers out at a league average pace. Do you think those two factors, have you noticed the lack of double plays?
I wouldn't say I've noticed it per se.
I think at one time it was 120 for the opponents and 85 for the Blue Jays, like this week sometimes. So
that's a bit of a surprise, I suppose. The stolen base thing I've noticed. That's certainly been a little bit of a change. I just think, that's again, a guy's getting a little tight or not. I don't know. A guy's not holding runners on at the same, or guys are running more cautiously, perhaps on the other side. But the double play thing, I don't know. I didn't notice that. I don't know if that's a problem or if it's just circumstance.
yeah.
I don't know if you can really comment on that beyond that. Or do you feel there is a reason?
I just notice it.
Yeah.
But it may be that Blue Jays starting pitchers.
That's because Max Scherzer's pitching a lot, and if he give up more fly balls, I don't.
Yeah.
That's a warning sign to me. I'm just Scherzer. I can see if there's any more fly balls to the track. I mean, that's a concern. I'm not sold on Max Scherzer down the stretch. If you're asking me, I think
the warning sign is warning tracks. Too many warning tracks.
Yeah, eventually you run out of it.
There have been a lot.
Yeah, you run out of it eventually. So I think that's something to watch. Personally.
All right. Well, this is a segment now. Discuss the bullpen. We'll go one by one and what's their role and their performance been as expected. What is it? Can anything more be expected? Let's start with the closer. Let's start with Jeff Hoffman. Even recently, with all his struggles, we've discussed it in previous exit philosophies. But I mean, going to the postseason, he's going to be the closer. But is there any way to fix what's going on right now? He had a 3-up, 3-down, ninth inning, but it was a 4-run lead against the Reds.
It's a concern. For me, the concern is stuff, not results. And for me, he just doesn't seem to have that jump on the fastball. His splitter still looks impressive to me, but if I just feel guys are on him, like he's not throwing the ball past guys right now. It feels like there just doesn't have the same jump. His arm just doesn't feel alive right now to me. So whether you've got to sit him down for a bit, and clearly they brought him in. I was stunned. He pitched in two bigger lead ninth innings, and he wasn't available to pitch the one time when they needed him, and they blew the game with Little on the mound. And I'm like, why wasn't he available? Because if he pitched the day before, what for? Like, just to bring him in a less,
Well, because when they gave him a week off, he didn't perform. So they want to make sure that he pitches.
Yeah, that's fine, but you can't make sure he pitches and not available for a save the next day.
Yeah. Well, I was being a little tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
You can always pitch a guy, and our theory was that you pitch him the day before an off day,
right?
Ensuring that he's going to at least have a day off before the next start, even if
he has to be available for save opportunities. Yeah. But
which brings me, and I've talked about Mike Marshall before, and you know how much I hate not pitching 3 days in a row. But I did some number breakdowns on Mike Marshall. 8 times in the 73 season when he pitched 92 games, 179 innings in relief. Didn't whine once. 8 times he pitched both ends of a doubleheader. 5 games in a row from July 3rd to 6th, including a doubleheader, and he went 9 innings total. In one doubleheader on September 7th, he pitched 3 innings in the first game in relief, and then there was an injury, and he pitched 8 1/3 innings in the second game in relief, and then had a day off, and then pitched 3 innings the day after that.
Yeah,
And
That
Joe,
reminds me of another guy like that was Bob Stanley with the Red Sox.
yeah, Bob Stanley is that same generation. Yeah. But this is in an era, and I've mentioned Joe Licio to you before, the trainer. He wore a white nurse's outfit, had a bucket of mud and some hot sauce that he rubbed on the arm after a game. And that was it.
Best in the business, dude.
The best in the business.
Yeah.
He owned a home in the Hollywood Hills. He took me up there one time. Great view. Like,
were you wearing? Was he still wearing the nurse's outfit?
No, he was wearing some Southern California cool.
Where are we going?
Yeah, right. You live here?
Yeah.
I want to be like you when I grow up. But by the time I grew up, they had put 8 trainers in the clubhouse.
Yeah. Yeah. Holy Christ, that's funny. But a different eras. Now, if you lose a mile or two on your fastball, we 5-alarm blaze. You know what I mean? Like, you can't. Everybody's got to be max effort, max everything, max. And if you're not max, we got a problem.
The second guy is, and we'll go down the list here. If Jeff Hoffman can't be that guy, we'll go down the Blue Jays relief list. Sir Anthony Dominguez. What's your impression of him?
Erratic, like stuff. I just don't know if you can count on him when like, obviously he seems to be the guy everybody points to as getting closer opportunities if you're not going to throw Hoffman because of the stuff, right? But I'm not sure that'd be my choice. I'd be more in another guy you're probably going to bring up next is Louis Varland. He'd be my choice, but I just find Dominguez he scares me. I like him where he is.
I think that his autoeroticism is a danger in the 9th inning, and that the 7th or 8th, when you can
there's some
still
lines
have it,
being thrown out today,
when you can have a chance to see that a guy's not performing, that he doesn't have it that day, and replace him, and you still have a couple innings left to win the game. But in the 9th inning, if he falls behind left-handed hitters, and then a guy, he gets into a hitter's count and a guy rips one in the 9th inning, it's all over, right?
Over.
But I agree with you. I think he should be there, and where he is now, 7th, 8th inning. But brings us to Louis Varland, and despite his contra performance against the Reds in that he showed indications, the stuff, the attitude.
The command.
Where I think the command, where if I say that they still need to go with Jeff Hoffman in the postseason as a closer, I think that they need to back Hoffman off, not sit him down, back him off to 7th or 8th with Sir Anthony Dominguez, and have Varland at least for a little bit close, and then see Hoffman regain his stuff and then put him back in that role.
Okay.
You like Varland, but not as a closer?
Well, I think he's my choice if you're going to back Hoffman off. I think if you back Hoffman off, you just back him off and give him a little bit of time and then fire him right back in there. Just give him some rest.
But he does need a little bit of time.
Well, it looks like it. Looks like it. So, I mean, and hey, this is where you make the big bucks if you're Schneids, right? And you're at Walker and you're like, what do you do? Maybe you keep running him out there. I don't know. I mean, we're not in the room, so I don't know if he's feeling something. Everybody's a little gassed. If it is that, I'd back him off. Just give him. Yeah. But I mean, man, you're in Yankee Stadium right now. It's hard not to. What does it say too if you get into a safe situation and Varland's coming in instead of Hoffman?
I mean, they got Devin Williams, they got Camilo Doval. They got
Bednar.
Yeah. I mean, they don't have the same guy going out there every 9th inning, and if you're in a contending position, you expect to be either in the lead or highly competitive every night. And if you can only have your closer pitch 2 days in a row, creates a major issue.
Yeah, well, he better perform those 2 days for starters.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not really getting that right now.
Here's a long shot that I'm throwing out there as maybe a guy who has settled down a little bit, Yariel Rodriguez. Do you think, I mean, there were times where he was throwing totally non-competitive fastballs.
Right.
Like if there was no backstop, they would be wherever those pitches.
They'll be rolling.
Yeah. Do you think that he's reached a point where you could trust him at all?
In an emergency, maybe. I might go to him over Sir Anthony,
Yeah.
and see what happens.
Yeah.
See what happens.
I
Because
don't think the Bronx would intimidate Yariel.
No, I don't think that's the issue at all. He either has it or he doesn't, right? And when he has it, his stuff is great. But I mean, you could say that about Sir Anthony too, I guess. So, yeah, I might give it a run, but I don't think that's a long-term plan. I think he's proven that it's not always going to be there. So you're doing the old, oops, cross your fingers as he comes into the game and hope this is the day he does have it, you know? Um, but I don't know. I mean, you're grasping at that point.
What about we'll add Tommy Nance in there? I think Tommy Nance was probably
thank
to
you.
me when we were talking about a 8-man bullpen. Tommy Nance was like 9th or 10th on my list, and now all of a sudden he's with that big performance the other day, followed up by an iffy performance. Where does he stand in your book?
I think he's not for me. Like his numbers have been great. He's pitched well for the Blue Jays this year. It's been awesome. Take what you can get. There's nothing in his background to suggest you want him pitching critical innings at critical times in the major leagues. I mean, if you have to, you're hoping he's still the guy who's been performing well this year, other than that start of that 9th inning the other day. But there's just not the resume for me. It's kind of like we're talking about Eric Lauer in the rotation. Sorry, man. Thank God he did what he did, but he's the odd man out. Nance to me isn't the guy I got a lot of guys ahead of him. I do.
So yeah, I mean he's pitching well, and as long as he's pitching well, ride him in a certain role, but don't try and elevate his role to one that's going to be key down the stretch and could be the difference between advancing or not advancing.
Yeah, you've done something wrong if he's coming into the 9th inning trying to get a save, and I think that they made a mistake the other day how that bullpen set up, that you had to rely on Tommy Nance and Brendan Little.
All right, here's for the left-hander. I'll go to a Chinese menu example. You need to pick 2 from these 4 columns. You got Brendan Little, Eric Lauer, Ryan Berkey, Mason Fluharty. Take 2 and hit to right.
I'll take the sweet and sour chicken ball.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, give me those names again.
Brendan Little.
Yeah.
Eric Lauer, Ryan Berkey, Mason Fluharty.
Right now, it's got to be Eric Lauer and Mason Fluharty. I think. Doesn't it? I mean, it can't be Berkey. I mean, I guess it can. I mean, it was one outing, but woof, that didn't look so good. Brendan Little, man, I want it to be him. I think it can be him. I think he's got the best stuff of the group, but he also doesn't have the best command either. So, and he looks like he's not very confident in himself at the moment. I
think I would have to have Brendan Little in there, but not as the main lefty. In fact, you might want to leave your right-handers in there if neither one of your left-handers is a better option. We talked about that earlier. But to me, Brendan Little had a great start of the season. Teams made adjustments where they're not chasing, and that was his big thing. They chase balls out of the zone, swing and miss. They made the adjustment, and it's been a long, long time where he hasn't adjusted back, and that's the problem. And maybe in the Reds series, we saw an adjustment because he started 0-1 with a fastball, cut fastball taken for a strike, and they got ahead 0-2. And maybe because when he falls behind 2-0 and can't throw a quality strike and needs to throw a strike, that's when he gets in trouble. But 0-2, now he can expand the zone a little bit and he gets chases. So I would give him an opportunity over the last 24 games to show that he's made an adjustment to hitters who have made an adjustment to him. But right now, he's not there.
The problem is, though, that he can't get that knuckle curve over enough or make it. It's viable when you're 0-1, 0-2. You're right. The problem is if guys know he's trying to get ahead with a fastball, his fastball's not good enough to get ahead with. If they figure out that he's trying to get ahead of him with a pitch that maybe isn't that great a pitch, there could be trouble. Guys will start jumping the fastball. So I mean, I hear you.
Yeah.
But
So when I gave 4 names and said 2 lefties, maybe there's even room for Eric Lauer to be a third lefty if he's not a traditional, like if he's going to be an innings eater guy, if he's going to be the long reliever. Yeah, as you get closer to the postseason and into the postseason, maybe that's a role for him. Although you'll have one of the starting pitchers jumping in there and joining him, but the way bullpens have been going in the postseason, you may need two of those guys. And if one's right, one's left, that works out. Now that brings us again, we're not finished. Dylan Tate and Ryan Brookie are clearly on this roster, but won't be there in the postseason. What about Trey Yesavage? We've discussed him before. Yeah. He pitched his 4th game the other day in Buffalo, 14 innings now. 8 walks, 22 strikeouts in 14 innings with only 9 hits allowed. I mean, you see highlights over the top, tough to pick up, different arm angle from anyone else in the bullpen, able to go more than 1 inning. David Price type presence, if he did come up. David Price with the Rays in 2008 when they went to the World Series. What do you think of the Savage option?
I think you either get him up here or you shut him down. I'm not really sure what is going on at this stage. He's shown even in his last outing. I mean, there's nothing to indicate he, is having trouble. He had some walk issues a little, maybe some at this when he first got up there. He's striking guys out. Now, I guess the issue from what I'm gathering is they're saying his velo's down a little. So, I mean, my thing is get him up here because I think that was the entire point of moving him up to AAA. Get him some competition. Get him up here or just shut him down at this point. I don't know if you need to keep throwing him at AAA. So I'd like to see him in the bullpen for the very reasons you just mentioned. He brings something to the table I'm not sure they have or many people have with that delivery. He could really make a difference or just see you next year.
And if he does come, I'm of that thought that he should come up and that they're pitching him and they had him come in relief of Paxton Schultz the other day instead of start. I mean, it's not a big deal because he came in the 2nd inning, but in your mind, you're a reliever at that point and you warm up like a reliever. He wasn't warming up before the game along with Paxton Schultz. They made him do his warm-up process like he was a bullpen guy. So He came in. And now you mentioned the velocity being down a little bit. If he knows he's only going to pitch 2 innings and in the postseason there's an off day every 2 or 3 days, his velocity would ramp up, I'm sure, in short stints, in short bursts.
I agree with you. So, I mean, I just think he's a better option than, well, he's certainly a better option than Dylan Tate. But, it just brings a different skill set and let's see it, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. It's not going to hurt him. It's just not going to hurt him. He might be in the rotation for next year at some point, so.
Right. I mean, David Price was used totally in relief in that half-season rookie year when the Rays brought him up, and then he became their top starter. So there's no
and if he gets
locking
hit a little bit.
There's no locking a guy into that role.
I'd rather have him there than Tommy Nance, personally.
That could be controversial, but
yeah. Well,
because you're going to use Yesavage in higher leverage situations than you would Tommy Nance because this guy's a stud. Yesavage.
But he's not coming there to pitch in 5-5 games. He's coming to protect leads.
Okay, now that we've solved the entire Blue Jays dilemma, let's go to one last item before we get to our NFL segment, which is going to be extremely popular this year because we're going to make people a lot of money.
Yes, we
That's
are.
my
Just
vote.
like last year, Griff.
Yeah, just like last year. But this year I'm going to document it and keep a running log of our NFL picks, top 5 every week, every Sunday. We're not going to do Thursday because that's cheating. We normally record on Thursday, so you won't heard it.
We'll always be 1-0.
Right. But yeah, so the last Blue Jays item is, and we talked about it weeks ago, the ranking of the top 3 Blue Jays internal MVP candidates, just team MVP, not league MVP. But I've got a list of, it's a short list: Springer, Bo Bichette, Alejandro Kirk, and Vlad. So what would be the order of your top 3 MVP picks at this
3
point?
names you mentioned: Springer, Bo Bichette, Alejandro Kirk.
In that order?
In that order. Springer, I mean, maybe that's wrong. Maybe Kirk deserves to be higher on that. Maybe he's number 1. Just because I mean, Springer's not giving you much defensively, right? I mean, when he plays it. So,
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go Kirk number 1. I'm going to say Bo number 2, Springer number 3, just because of, the importance of the defensive positions both those guys are playing. Springer number 1 if you're just considering offense. But so I'm Kirk, Bo, Springer for me.
That's funny. It must be like a mind meld where through the power of
Too much time together.
Through the power of Zoom, I have controlled your brain because you started out in a different order, but to me, Kirk is the guy for this team specifically, not AL MVP. I think Springer will get the most because Springer is the most recognized name for a team that has been in first place surprisingly for as long as they have. So league voters are going to place Springer higher in their top 10. But internally for Jay's MVP, Kirk. And for all the reasons we've discussed through the weeks.
We're just good baseball men, Griff. We know.
And did you say Bo second? Yeah, I go Bo second.
Yes.
And Springer is the marquee name, and he just attracts the lion's share of camera shots, of TV shots in the dugout because he's effusive and outgoing,
and he's the biggest surprise.
Yeah, and then Bo gives you nothing when you turn the camera on him.
Right.
Right, in any situation. They used to turn the camera on him because of his flow, but it's
not
gone,
even anymore. Yeah.
Now he looks like a big hip shortstop. But yeah, so I go Kirk, Bo, and Springer. So we agree on that.
Agreed.
We'll probably be wrong.
Oh, we will be wrong.
Well, I get a vote, so it'll be Kirk, Bo, and Springer on my ballot. We'll still be wrong.
It was leading the votes. That's right. That's right.
All right. So
Mike Wilner end of year votes.
Yeah.
That's
we both encountered that. Hey, yeah. Can you go over? Mike just wants to ask you a couple of questions.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh my God. And then you get the nasty side eye from the player as he leaves.
Don't say that about Mikey.
No. Yeah, it's a totally imaginative segment that he's got going there. NFL. I'm excited.
Yes.
I'm excited. Thursday, off day. Nothing to watch tonight except the opening.
The Yankees. The Eagles and the Cowboys is pretty big. Pretty big television.
So we're just going to deal every week with top 5 picks, and it could be with the points or an over and under if you so prefer. But we'll use the Bet365 lines from a Wednesday night. So I've got them down from last night. And now I will need your top 5. I'll write them down and we'll post them on the website.
Okay. One of the lines may have changed, so it actually might be in my favor. So you can tell me if it changed from last night to tonight. But I'm just going in order of the games being played, not the confidence level.
Right.
I have, for starters, the Arizona Cardinals -6.5 on the road at New Orleans. That's I'm not. They're on the
Yeah,
road. I
that
know New
is
Orleans is
minus
okay.
6.5 is still the line.
Okay, that's number one for me. The one that could have changed. Uh, I love this one. I want the Atlanta Falcons. I have +1.5. I know it was 2.5. What do you have there?
Um, I got +2.5.
Okay, I want the 2.5 then. As of Wednesday night, I love the Atlanta Falcons here. Um,
Yep.
Number three for me, um, taking a bit of a gamble, I think, on this one. Well, aren't we always? But I like the Tennessee Titans getting 8.5 in Denver with Cam Ward making his debut. Tough spot. Nobody wins in Denver in September, and their tremendous defense, which is also a tough go for Cam Ward, but I just think this guy's the real deal, and I'll take the points and hope he keeps it within a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
Number four, I love this one. Give me the Packers -2.5 at home.
Wow.
Opening day
That
in
is
love.
that is still 2.5. But the Lions,
I know.
defending conference or regular season champs.
I like Green
That's
Bay
going to be
at
a
home.
tough division. That's going to
It
be a
is.
very tough division.
It is, and I like it less than a field goal. So I think I'll take it less than a field goal -2.5. And the last one is probably a surprise, but I like the Cleveland Browns at home getting 5 points. I know they stink, but I think their defense is excellent, and I think they're gonna give Burrow some trouble here. If Burrow, they're gonna get to Burrow, and that obviously he's awesome and their offense is awesome. But I think it's going to be a tighter game than most people think. I like Cleveland at home as long as they can score 10 points. That's the big
So
if.
in review, Mal's picks: the Cards -6.5, the Falcons +2.5, Tennessee +8.5, Packers -2.5, and the Browns +5. Which is your favorite?
Atlanta at
Ooh,
home
so
getting
that's
points.
your
My pick for
two-star
click,
pick. Yeah, Atlanta.
5-star pick, Atlanta Falcons.
All right.
What do you
Well,
got?
here's Griff's picks.
Yes.
And I'm going down the slate just as you did, and I'll give you my favorite at the end. I like the Jets +2.5 against the Steelers. I think the
Wow.
Jets are motivated. They have
They
Aaron
sure
Glenn
are.
as a coach. They're
New
motivated.
coach.
Aaron Rodgers coming into town,
Yeah, that's a
and
big deal.
I
That
think
that
just
stadium will be rocking.
I think Justin Fields has a chance to be like a megastar, like Randall Cunningham was in Philly.
I like Justin Fields. We are on an island there, Griff. We
Yeah.
are on an island. Yes.
um, I also like the Falcons +2.5.
Okay.
So we're in agreement on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're only going to get 9 different picks.
Okay.
Oh, but that's your favorite, right?
It's my
Yeah.
favorite.
My third is the Seahawks +2.5 against the
Wow.
49ers.
Wow. Aaron or Darnold, Sam Darnold is your
Sam
pick.
Darnold. I was not a big fan of his in New York or Minnesota
Or Carolina.
or Carolina or anywhere or USC. I was
Yeah,
not a big fan. Not a
you
big
are
fan of him
Sunday.
being chosen.
You are on Sunday.
But I just feel like the Seahawks are well coached.
Correct.
They're a different team than they were. I wasn't a big fan of Geno Smith. And I think that at home, I'm not a big fan of Brock Purdy. It sounds like I'm not a big fan of anybody, doesn't it? But the Seahawks are my third pick. My fourth involves a game that you chose, but not in the way that you chose it. I'm going to take the under 42.5 for the Titans and Broncos because of the rookie quarterback,
I like
Denver's
it.
stout defense, the fact that
42.5.
if Denver controls the ball, they will win that game at home.
Tennessee is a good defense too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they will control the clock and it will be under 42.5.
I like that.
So, and then my final one, my fifth pick, is the Ravens +1 against the Bills. I
Yeah.
think the Bills the Bills Mafia always seems to be disappointed early in a season and then bounces back and then is all excited going into the playoffs and then
I'm
disappointed
concerned
again.
about the back end of that defense coming out of the gate. I mean, Trey White, please. I love Trey. One of the best corners I saw ever play in Buffalo, but not now. And their safeties leave a lot to be desired too. So
Yeah, I think the Ravens' offensive weapons are well established, and the Bills have to find out what works best for Josh Allen, and especially at wide receiver moving forward. So early in the season, first game coming out of the blocks, I'm going Ravens +1.
so Bills by a billion.
Anyway, that wraps up this edition of Exit Philosophy, and I love ending with the NFL picks, and we'll post them, like I said, on griffstopitch.com. We'll post them weekly before Sunday, obviously. We don't want to post them after Sunday because then they're of no use.
Yes. And like I said, we both made people money last year, Griff. We were net positive. So you've come to the right place, folks.
And this time we won't just say it, we'll document it.
We'll document it. That's
Perfect.
right. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. And this has been fun. And we will be back at you next week. And Mal, I appreciate you co-hosting. And we'll talk before then, but have a great week.
Yes. Happy NFL.